Thank you for watching this video covering the methods of remote search and lock between the total station and the Prism. If you are participating in the hands-on training, you will also be shown methods to move and search manually. It is assumed that you've already paired and connected your tablet to the total station. If not, please reference video 2 Bluetooth connection for instructions on how to do so. Turn on both your total station and your tablet. For the purposes of this video, we will use the program Layout Points, but please note that the search function can be accessed using the same method we are about to cover from within any of the four functions of As-Built, Layout Points, Layout Lines, and Checks, as well as from within any of the setup procedures that will be covered in another video. From within Layout Points, in the upper middle portion of the screen, I have the Controller Target drop-down menu. If I click it, but don't select an option within a few seconds, the menu will disappear. To return to the menu, click it again. In this menu, we have four functions related to remotely searching for the Prism. The first we will cover is Move and Search, found in the lower left corner of the menu. On clicking this function, we are presented with a circle containing buttons to remotely control the total station from the tablet. The first two and most often used are the left turn and right turn buttons. They are found on the left and right side of the circle and are represented by binoculars with a green arrow pointing left or right. Important to know that the left and right is in reference to you looking at the total station. If you look at it and it is pointing to the left of you, you need to make the total station turn right and vice versa. Using either of these two buttons will start an auto search and auto lock process. The instrument will turn in the direction indicated until it either finds the Prism and locks or it completes one full circle. There are numerous reasons for the instrument not finding the Prism. It's important to know them in order to avoid them. Once you know what to look for, locking on the Prism with this equipment is much easier than other models. Some of these reasons include the total station is looking too far above or below your Prism. The Prism you are searching for is too far away, which is more common with reflective stickers or when searching distances over about 600 feet. You are set to reflectorless Prism mode, or when there is an obstruction between the Prism and the total station. Your total station is emitting a laser and your Prism is a type of mirror. The reason the total station can lock on the Prism is because it sends out the laser that is returned to it by the mirror. If something cuts off that flow of light, the total station will lose lock. If the laser is too far above or below the Prism, the mirror won't reflect it back to the total station. If the Prism is out of range, the laser won't be strong enough to reach the mirror and be reflected. If you are in reflectorless mode, the total station isn't looking for a mirror in the first place and you will never lock. Remotely searching and locking on the Prism depends entirely on your settings and methods. If you don't pay attention to your settings and your surroundings, you will have trouble with this. The total station can only do what you tell it to do. To continue, the button in the middle lower portion of the circle is the joystick. Let's go there. As it implies, this is where we have an option to move in one direction by guiding the total station with a joystick. This is manual mode. We have up, down, left, and right around the edge of the circle. You may cycle through three speeds by tapping the button multiple times. To cancel the movement, click the red X that appears after movement begins. This option is especially useful when the total station is looking too high or too low. Use the up and down arrows to point the total station closer to your elevation, and then try the left and right auto search and lock processes for faster responses. Note that using these four arrows will not auto-lock, and the total station will continue to move in the direction indicated until you cancel with the red X. The upper middle button above the binoculars is a target search area. It causes the total station to search a very small sector, and if it finds the total station, it will auto-lock. This is especially useful when you know you are pointed close to a prism. Touching the binoculars returns you to the previous options. Let's go there. The binoculars with the star in the middle of the circle will perform what's called a power search. This is when the total station automatically begins turning in a complete circle until it either finds the prism or completes its circle. I rarely use this function as it is more random and I would rather control the total station in the direction I know I need to turn. The window with binoculars in the upper middle of the circle is called a search sector. This function is useful when you have a stationary prism mounted that will not be moving during your setup. To use this function, you will first need to define the sector, which we will cover next. To exit the Move and Search menu, click anywhere outside of the circle. Return to the Controller Target drop-down and select Search Sector. You will be prompted to define the upper left corner of the search window. Manually point the total station with your hands above and to the left of the area you want to be searched in the future. Click Measure. Now you will be prompted to define the lower right corner of the search window. Manually point the total station with your hands below and to the right of the area you want to be searched in the future. Click Measure. Now click the green check at the bottom middle of your screen. You have defined the search area. Now if you return to the Controller Target drop-down, select Move and Search, and then click Sector Search at the middle top of the circle, the total station will automatically search the predefined area you chose, even if it's pointed in another direction. The third option in the Controller Target drop-down is to Turn to Point. This function only works when you have already completed your total station setup and referenced your targets. If the total station doesn't know where it is in relationship to the points, it will not turn in the direction you are hoping for. If you have already done your setup though, this function is extremely useful when you know you must move over long distances through many obstructions and are guaranteed to lose lock. In this situation, you can click to Turn to Point, which will return you to the map view and prompt you to pick a point. And tells you that the instrument turns to the selected point. Once you've selected the point, click the green check found at the lower middle portion of the screen and the instrument will turn to that point. Note that if the elevation of the point you select is set higher or lower than the surface you're working on, the total station will look up or down as it is seeking that elevation. You will need to use the joystick function to make it look back to the elevation you're working on. Using turn to point is also useful when searching for points that are a long distance away because you can make it point in the correct direction and then start walking in the direction the total station is facing. The final option pertaining to remote search and lock methods is the search settings. This is also found in the Controller Target drop-down. Once in this menu, you will be presented with two input settings on the left. The first, which is in the upper left, is asking you how long you want the total station to continue looking in the same direction you were moving when the total station lost sight of the prism. Your options are 1, 3, and 5 seconds. The second option is what the total station should do after it predicts the direction you moved for the amount of time you selected and still doesn't find the prism. By clicking this option, choices will appear on the right side of the screen. You will notice that by choosing certain methods from this list, you will be given yet more options that the total station can use to try to find you automatically after having lost sight of you. You can try these combinations on your own. I usually do not use these options because once the total station loses lock, it will do every step that you choose every time it loses you, and you can't make it stop until it either finds you or completes its steps. Generally, this takes longer than it would to just do an auto search and lock once you've moved to a clear line of sight. This concludes the video pertaining to remote search and lock methods. Please continue to the next video, which will cover prism types and prism constants.